All right, I had to switch it up. I had to go. I had to put that joint in. Let me see. I had to use StreamYard, guys. All right, I had to switch. I had to switch to StreamYard because this thing is tripping. All right, we can do it this way. All right. All right, we had to switch it up, guys. My bad. The YouTube native video app joint was not allowing me to go live. It wasn't letting me do it, so we're gonna do it this way. I haven't used StreamYard in a minute. Too. God damn. So we're gonna wait for O'Shea to get up in here, and I guess I gotta share the link with him too, right? Yeah. Let me see. How do I do that? Invite guests. Copy. There we go. All right. I invited him. He should be jumping on in here a second. I wish I can do this thing landscape. That's why I get. I don't know all the new features on the live things. I ain't been going live in quite a long time. I had to download. I had to download. I mean, go on Google and do the StreamYard thing. I wish YouTube native app was a lot more comprehensive for real. Can you hear me? Can y'all hear me? If you can hear me, give me a one in the chat, just so I know. Okay, cool. All right, so we just waiting for O'Shea. I just sent him the link. He said he told me he wanted to make sure it was on my platform so he can talk to my subscribers. He want to confront my subscribers. So I guess that's fair enough. All right. So we just gonna sit and wait. Hey, listen. I'm gonna ask him straight up. We getting straight questions here. All right. No word salad. We don't want it. We need clear answers. All right. We're not fence riding nothing. God damn it. Yeah, we got goddamn Saturday. Got me outside and shit. Y'all here see that? Oh, here we go. Add to stage. Here we go. All right. Now we here. All right. I'm gonna let you
Just like
start off, O'Shea. Let's get through it.
no. I don't, I'm just want to here to say, I know we've been kind of having a little bit of intellectual back and forth, and it ain't always been pretty. But I just wanted to say that despite our many differences, that you are a real brother. Independent African movement. In many ways, you inspire me. So I want everybody to know, yeah, I have cussed out Afro Think Tank publicly and in my mind, but I love the brother. I believe that um, he is for real. He's legit. He's one of the few guys that's legit out here. And I don't always like him. He don't always like me, but I look up to him in many ways. Although he's crazy as fuck. I'm gonna be honest. He's a little out there sometimes, but he's definitely a good brother. I have no doubt that he wants the best for the black people more than anybody out here. So I wanted to publicly come out and say that on your platform. And I know you have that hostile crowd, which I'm glad to be. I like being in a hostile environment. So I thank them. I know they also share the same things that we both share, even though we look at it differently. And that's why I like your platform. I love you personally, even though we don't always see eye to eye. So I wanted to come out there and publicly say that. So I know you have some issues with some of the stuff that I've been doing, and I know that this correction will be out of love because I think that you respect what I do offline and stuff like that. So that's why I'm here. I'm here to get the smoke.
All right. Question number one.
Sure.
How many times did you vote for Donald Trump?
Twice. 3 times.
3 times.
Yes.
Why?
Well, I mean, I've already stated this publicly, but the reason why I voted for Donald Trump, and he's a terrible president. Let's just get that out in this time. I mean, he's a terrible president. Largely, it's from the dissatisfaction as to what the Democratic Party, in my honest opinion, were doing with the Black community. Because I think largely our community has always been more inclusive of everybody else, where there's, not even just other Black immigrants, but let's say, for example, let's say gay rights, if you want to say that. We've been inclusive of everybody's struggle. And so what I think is that the Black struggle got co-opted by the Democratic Party for everybody else. So now our struggle is transgender. Our struggle is, everybody else that has the issue, the Asian community and stuff like that. And then those groups come in and become more insular. And then they kind of forget about us as a whole. And so we lose leverage. That was my main reason for voting for anybody that was a Republican candidate, had it been him or not. But that was largely what it was. And if you can hear Roland Martin now, he's saying the same thing, word of tangibles. I mean, he's saying the same thing that a lot of folks have been saying. A lot of people have had their criticism of the Democratic Party. So I thought he was basically the lesser of the 2 evils. Now, am I wrong this time? Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a terrible president. That's the truth. And I have to be accountable for that. But I still think that Kamala Harris, when she stood on reparations, was not very clear. And I also think that Kamala Harris being married to a non-white person, I think if it was a Black man in her situation, the same people would have been criticizing that Black man for if he had a white wife. And he would never get an endorsement for the Black community like she has.
Okay, so that's the first. Okay, so here's the thing. Mm-hmm. That what you just explained is good for the first time you voted for Donald Trump. Okay, I'll give you that one. But you voted for him 3 more times. The first time you voted for Donald Trump, after that first 4 years, after hundreds of thousands of people died, after he started a campaign to disenfranchise Black people, to tear down Black monuments, to take Black books out of school, you voted for him again.
Yes.
So are you saying that, because the first time it was Hillary, I understand that we wasn't about to vote for Hillary, right? I understand that thing. But the second time, right, then you had Joe Biden, right? You said, you know what? Donald Trump did a real good job the first time. Let me vote for him again. And he lost. And then you said, you know what? I'm going to vote for this motherfucker a third time because he did such an excellent job the first time. And then the 4 years he was out, he did such an excellent job post-presidency. Let me vote him back again. So you did 3 times. But okay, but you explain yourself. I do understand it because the Democrats right now, all right, have taken advantage of the black vote. We all, I think at this point, we all agree on that shit right now, right? Like just now, almost every one of those Black Democrats voted to fund Israel. They said, F us, we're going to fund Israel. They all work for Israel. So I completely understand that portion. I just wanted my subscribers to understand why you voted for Donald Trump. All right. And you did just say he's a terrible president. All right. Now, here's another question.
To your audience.
Wait.
Like, yeah, Donald Trump is not a great president. But to be fair, on the right is also owned by Israel, just like the left is.
Yeah, so, both of them are.
I mean, a Republic. And I want to say this: I am more Black centered first than politics, which is why I'm here tonight. Because I'm here to try to not like. I think that everybody wants the same thing, right? And that's what I believe. So even though we have different ways of going about it, and sometimes it's not pretty, that's why I'm here. And I want to say that I am a Black person, and for the Black struggle first over politics.
Okay.
So, whether you believe it or not, that's what I am.
Okay. I agree. I believe it, but this is the issue that we have now.
Okay.
Why do you? Now you know what Tariq Nasheed. You know who Tariq Nasheed is.
Yes.
You know what he does, and you know his history, right?
Yeah.
Now you call yourself a Pan-African, right?
Yes.
You say you're in the Pan-African space. You're pro-Black and this and that. And I understand Pan-Africanism doesn't mean Kumbaya, Care Bears. We all wear the same dashikis and move to the same country. I understand that, right? But Tariq Nasheed is a well-known grifter, and he sows division for monetary gain. Why do you support Tariq Nasheed?
Okay, so I was actually one of Tariq Nasheed's critics. Oh, for about a year and a half, right? It was never personal, but ideological. One of the things that, and one of the guys that really fundamentally developed me, like in the pro-black stances, is a brother by the name of Street Media TV, George Macon. So he's played a big role in my life.
Oh, Joe, yeah, I mean the guy from Guyana.
But yeah, half. So he's been really inspirational with me. In trying to establish where I am. When Tariq Nasheed was about to build the center, what was it called? The thing that he built, the Hidden History Museum. Yeah, this is before Tariq Nasheed responded to me. He said, "Brother, please stop calling out Tariq Nasheed because he's the closest person right now that has the reparations talk on the table. I believe right now it's kind of equal between Yvette Cornell, but he was kind of gaining momentum. So then I stopped. I stood down because what George said. Now, does Tariq Nasheed have issues in the past? Of course. But here's the situation. And afrothinktank, and you've been to Nigeria, you live in Uganda. A lot of the things that Tariq Nasheed has been saying, or Pharaoh said, that I experience those things every day. I've went through those challenges every day, as you saw with Agaba, and a lot of the things that I go through, I don't talk about it personally on my channel. But the Agaba situation was so bad, And again, there is division that is out there. I see a lot of what the people in the FBA online community do. And on the right, and sometimes it's, like I said, it's too far to the right with some of the trolling and name calling and stuff like that. But I think fundamentally what the premise is that a lot of Black Americans have experienced what he's talking about. I experienced it. So that is why I decided to it just started hitting home, just like you talked about it in Nigeria. And the division is going to be, the division has been there since the 60s with the African community. It was there when my mother was at UC Davis. Now, I know you live on the East Coast corridor, so it's a little bit different. But if you look at where Africans have went in the 80s and 90s, it was there with the Caribbeans. It was there in Toronto in the 80s and 90s. It's there in South Africa right now. And again, we play a role into it as Black Americans. It's not like we're not guilty. But the underlying thing is a lot of people can't participate in Pan-Africanism because we don't have, the countries are not developing the diaspora and its own citizens to even be in Pan-Africanism, to even make it worthwhile. So what we get is a lot of people covering ground on the continent. And so when they encounter each other, they encounter us, then we don't really have a value exchange. So I can stand down, and Tariq Nasheed does some things I don't disagree. I disagree with all the time. But as far as me publicly coming out and saying anything,
can you name something that Tariq Nasheed does that you disagree with?
I mean, I think it's a little bit too far with some of this, like the jokes, the thumbnails with the sandals. Some of the stuff is the hairline stuff. It can be a little bit. It is too much. And then some of the commentary from the brothers is too much. But ideologically, when we deal with the people on the African continent or the Caribbeans, it's like we lose a lot of leverage when we have to deal with them because we always have to make the first move. It's us that has to always come to Africa. We have to find out that they, Africans really love us and all that. And, the Black Americans have a higher expectations of Pan-Africanism than the other people do. Just like the South Africans have a higher expectation than Malawians do. So now that becomes a problem right now in the Black world, because if we're always the ones that are always supposed to be given, well, nobody gives more than Black Americans. Like, I know what you do in Nigeria. When you're there, you give a lot of what you have, and I give a lot of what I have too. And then so why are we're always so inclusive, and then everybody else is always insular? For example, Somalis are insular wherever they go. South Africa, insular. Uganda, insular. Kenya, insular. Minneapolis, insular. You can't do nothing with them. But because Black Americans are so inclusive, they attach on to things when they, when it fits them. Like, for example, when they went to the March on Selma, Eritreans are insular. Certain Caribbeans are insular. Haitians, they're 7-day Adventists. They have their own stuff and their own communities and their own churches and everything like that. And that's fine. But, we lose leverage to a certain point because Pan-Africanism cannot work without somebody giving more than and other people giving less. And if Black Americans stop giving to Pan-Africanism as we are, then it would be in trouble because because we're so inclusive and we include everybody in our stuff. That's why everybody loves us. And I think that we should continue doing that, but just to a fault, because at what point are we going to stop being inclusive where everybody else becomes insular. Like, for example, if you look at the NAACP, right there in DC, I used to live out there on the East Coast. The DC is the melting pot of a lot of the Black immigrants. Ethiopians are there pretty much. Caribbeans are there. They have many institutions right there in Washington, D.C. They can come in at Howard and then Professional Black Caucus. Now you even have immigrant leadership in Professional Black Caucus pushing for more African immigrants to get legalized. And then they come in, they co-opt what Black Americans have established, and then they kind of bastardize it. So I just think that we lose leverage in certain cases, not all the time, but it's something to look at. Because ultimately, the South Africans right now are being taken advantage of by some of the quote unquote situations going on. We're next. People like you and me, we're next. You see, and how much time do we got to continue to sacrifice? Black Americans give 25% of their income to charitable organizations all the time. And what do they do for us? Let's look at Godfrey. What's the brother that got killed, Nolan Wells? Where are the rich African groups that have donated money? Well, we got Byron Allen gave some money. There's Spike Lee, there's Colin Kaepernick. When our issues are needed to be met, we never see these immigrant groups. We do have brothers though individually to give, but what about the Somali Medical Association? They're quiet on our issues until it fits them, and we got to understand that's a real issue. When it's time for us, something happens, they're not there.
Okay, so but this is the thing, all right. So yes. African Americans, we are the culture, right? We are for all intents and purposes right now, African Americans are the leaders of Black movement on the planet. Now we're the one, we always like to tout ourselves as being the example of being the warriors, of being fighting against the oppression, of being the example of what it is that we're supposed to do to fight against the most savage barbarian humanity has ever seen. So if we are the teachers, right, and if we are looking at the rest of the African diasporas as students who are being caught up with what Pan-Africanism is supposed to look like, then it's our responsibility to be those teachers. If I'm teaching my student about Pan-Africanism and I'm giving them, and we're in lab and I'm teaching them how to be Pan-African, right, I can't get mad at my student for not knowing their curriculum, right? And I understand what you're saying. There are African people who are using the vehicle of African Americans, right, to attach them to bounce off and do their own thing, right? But we've experienced that with white people. White people, the entire United States of America is white people participating in Black culture while holding Black people down. So we're used to white people doing that to us. All of Latino culture, and you from the West Coast, that entire Mexican culture down that Cholo, that shit is a bunch of Native Americans who want to be white but practicing Black culture while pretending like they're not practicing Black culture. That's what they're doing. That's why their music doesn't resonate, because outside of them, nobody wants to hear that Mexican rap stuff. It's just the truth. That's why it doesn't go anywhere, right? That's because we know what it is, right?
Even Mexican churches are adopting the same thing. They're doing the same thing in churches too.
Now, our African brothers and sisters, right? Like we know Afrobeat and all these musics were inspired by the older jazz guys, and so they had a relationship back then with the funk music and all that stuff, right? Like I understand that the African people who have been watching us, keep in mind, us Black people have been on stage this entire time. So the continent was watching the same movies we was watching. They were inspired by the same heroes we have, right? And they got this view of us, right, that is based off TV. So they got the Menace to Society view, which was the worst movie that African Americans have ever participated in the history of all movies, right? That was the worst. When I can't even watch that shit no more, right? But we have people, because of movies like that and Juice and the perpetuation of gang culture, thinking that we are like that, which gives white people, right, the ability to tell African people who don't know nothing about us that that's Black people. So that's propaganda being created by white people to skew a view of us to them. So we know why there are African people who view African Americans in a certain light, right? So even though we get offended when we got some African coming to America, right, benefiting off the backs of our ancestors, not appreciating what our ancestors have done and disrespecting us at the same time. As an African American, a proud African American, by the way, who is very much proud of my African American culture, I too get offended when somebody comes from to benefit from what my ancestors did while disrespecting us and cosplaying us per what people want to say at the time. But I don't believe in Black people cosplaying other Black people, right? Because I'm wearing dashikis and shit. Like I'm over here doing this, like we doing this, right? So I don't
Right,
have a
right.
problem with that. But I think the way we handle it, and I always try to mention, is that we get in our emotions because black people have never had to confront other black people that had the ability to talk shit back to us. We are the biggest shit talkers on the planet. You know, you say you went to
Right.
Howard, we DC, we just shit talk all
Yeah.
day, right? So when I hear black people complain about somebody calling them a kata, it doesn't register to me because that is that shit don't hurt compared to the shit that we done said to them. But at the same time, where do we
Mhm.
get African booty scratcher from? We got it from them goddamn the Disney Channel. We got it from Disney cartoons. We got it from those infomercials at night. We were trained to believe all Africans got AIDS. They starving. They live in mud huts. All that shit. So I understand the ignorance of African Americans comes from the propaganda of the white man. So that means when I'm arguing with an African, I'm not going to use any of those tools given to me by the white man to fight my brother and sister. I'm gonna fight like Nana. All right, like let's talk about Nana. I know he wants to be famous, right? He loves African Americans and he makes his content talking about African Americans. He loves us a lot, right?
Right.
Right, and he's taking this opportunity, which he should. He's growing to take shots at us in order to rise, right?
Hmm.
But he does make some good points about certain members of our community that talk shit, right? And at first
Hmm.
I hear somebody like Nana, and I can try to agree with him, right? But then when he gets into his argument, and then his xenophobia comes out, where he starts
Hmm.
to talk shit about African Americans in totality, right? And see
Hmm.
now, how do I react to somebody like Nana? Do I say, okay, you big headed fucking meatball head, ugly old fuck Ghanaian looking motherfucker? Do I start to go at him and start attacking Ghana because of him? No. Do I make thumbnails to make him look extra uh ethno stereotypical African in order to attack him based off the things that he say? No, right? I don't do that. I will go at Nana for what he says. I won't make fun of him, even though today he showed his xenophobia because he's a level 2 thinker.
Hmm.
He's a level 2 thinker because he can't help but to be xenophobic when he gets into his feelings. He called me a yellow fake African right now, and that's supposed to hurt my
I,
feelings.
I
Now
I
I'm
saw that a
supposed
little
to
bit.
go back at him and call him something, right? I'm supposed to go grab me something out the white man toolbox and attack him, but I won't do that like that. I'll attack him a different way, right?
Right.
And so Tariq Nasheed, what he does is he creates people like Nana because Tariq comes on every day. Because first of all, Tariq doesn't really make content; he just talks shit like in the barbershop, right? And he monetizes it. So every day Tariq goes online and makes thumbnails disrespecting Africans, and
Hmm.
he's making content that other people can use to also attack other Africans because they see, look, Tariq said it, right? So if Tariq said it, or now we got FBA saying it. If FBA saying it, so I guess I'm not racist because black people are saying it too. So
Hmm.
FBA, their rhetoric lines up with racist, xenophobe, ethno-nationalist white people. They have the same talking points. No
Hmm.
time in human history has African Americans cared about immigration. In the real world, there's plenty of space in America for everybody. America
Hmm.
is underpopulated. We actually need more people. The result of having less people is we have less tax revenue for the states, and the states can't operate. And that means states that can't operate has to get more subsidies from those states that can operate. The states that
Hmm.
can operate are democratic states, are states where black people live. The states that cannot operate and that are welfare states are states where white people live. White people are disenfranchising themselves, getting rid of immigration, and black people are participating in that by pretending like we care about immigration. We don't actually care about it. It's not something that we actually ever really. It was never our. We don't care because there's plenty of space. What we do care about, on the other hand, is
Hmm.
immigrants coming to the country undermining us, right,
Right.
and reaping the benefits of what we have done. Now, how do we have that conversation without being xenophobic and hateful? It's real hard, right? Because when our feelings get involved, we're gonna throw some shots because black folks we like to do that, and Africans do it too, and they act like they don't because we know the Igbos do the same shit, and they got a tradition of talking shit to each other, right?
Oh,
To
it's
greet
even
each
worse
other as
than
cousins and family, right?
it's way
Right.
worse.
But when they
Mhm.
come to America, because they not when they first get here, they're not used to how we do it and they don't know how to participate. But as soon as one of them damn Nigerians figure out how to do it, now all of a sudden you mad and you want to go back and forth and act like it's a big deal when we just talking shit the way we do. But we got white people right now lynching us every other week. There's a white black person being lynched by some white person. Every other
Mhm.
week, the government is trying to disenfranchise black people, and I don't think they care if it's a Nigerian or a Haitian or a Jamaican, right? So we got a bigger overall fight, right, with these people and these Asians and these Latinos that don't care about us. And I believe we are wasting lots of energy perpetuating the diaspora wars when we should be uniting, right? We should find a way to talk to each other the same way we seem how to talk to that white man. Because when Tariq Nasheed talking to them white people, he all yes boss, he's all goddamn proper and shit. He ain't got no smoke. He was just talking to a white guy that was telling him he was a racist. He ain't got no smoke for these white people. But as soon as a black person get on there and say anything, he talking shit, right? He disrespecting them. He goes to the lowest hanging fruit in order to attack them. And you, O'Shea, if it wasn't for you, motherfuckers wouldn't even know who Tariq is. You are the biggest pusher of Tariq Nasheed. You cannot call yourself a Pan-African and push FBA rhetoric. And FBA, let me tell you in your face, FBA does not represent African Americans. FBA is a xenophobic hate group fan club of Tariq Nasheed. You cannot blanket all African Americans with FBA. We have not agreed on that. Now the sentiment of us not taking disrespect from certain disrespectful ass Africans, I agree. And y'all know I bang on their asses too. Like, you're not gonna disrespect my African Americans, but at the same time, I'm not gonna have these low level FBA people coming in my comment section, right? Having a dishonest conversation when I'm trying to have an honest conversation. Because they muddy the waters. Because if you associate me with FBA, and FBA is calling people tethers, which is like tether is a terrible word because it's another way to call you a nigga without saying nigga. That's what it is. It's how can me as a black person call you a nigga, without saying nigga because it don't hit the same. So I gotta come up with my own word. And it's almost like we looking at white person. Look, look, master, I got a word for those other black people because we special black people, right? And then you, O'Shea, you perpetuated by saying shit like flat black. What the hell is a flat back black? There is no such thing.
Flat blackness, not flat black. When I talk about
flat blackness. Now damn well ain't no such thing as that. No damn flat black.
Flat blackness.
Ain't nothing flat about another black nigga.
So sociologists talk about that. Black academics talk about flat blackness. That's something that people teach in Black history, African American studies all the time.
Oh, who did you say? You said who? Academic?
Like, flat blackness is the idea that all of us, it's a Pan-African actual academic concept. Not flat black.
Flat blackness?
Yes, that's what I talk about. Flat blackness. Painting everybody's issues the same.
Oh, okay. Oh, see. I didn't know. You never articulated that way. I didn't know. See, you got to do a better job of articulating yourself. Because when you do stuff like that, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like you saying African Americans are special Negroes and everybody else is just plain Negroes. You gotta understand in the word, and when it comes to propaganda, and I'm coming from a point of professionalism. I am an expert at counterterrorism. I have been trained. All right, I have trained dumbasses. Listen, I have trained dumbass Talibans to go fight other Taliban. I have trained insurgents to fight governments. This is what I used to do. All right, I know the psychology of non-educated people and how dangerous they are. And I know the power of propaganda. Words got power. FBA has power when you give it power and when you concede that it is a thing. That's why I never concede. People like, you FBA. I said, don't call me that shit. Because once you accept FBA as a term, that means I have to accept all the ideology that comes with it. I have to accept all the shit that Tariq Nasheed says on a daily basis in order to make money, right? In order to be called FBA. I can't be associated with that, right? I've been an ambassador for African Americans almost my entire life. Right, so I know how to conduct myself as an African American overseas, right? And I know what happens when we make mistakes, right? And so FBA is a mistake, right? It's a mistake based off the feelings people have because Tariq Nasheed takes advantage of the sentiment of African Americans towards disrespectful Africans. But you know, and I know that for every nana, right, there's 1,000 African Americans. I mean, Africans that love us and just want to be in the same room with us and learn about us and all that. But the thing is, people like Nana are prominent because people like Tariq are prominent. We have to eliminate the fat from this meat. There's nothing beneficial about any rhetoric that Tariq says. He doesn't. What is his policies towards reparations? He doesn't have any. When has he drafted up a bill to present to any of his representatives? He doesn't do that. When's the next reparations rally? He's not having it. What Tariq Nasheed is doing, he made a little group, he make a little bit of money, and he keeps one foot out the door by saying he's not the leader, and then all his followers will say, Tariq said he's not the leader because Tariq said. They start everything with Tariq said. Every FBA dude put Tariq face, and they just start off anything Tariq say, they say. If Tariq say bussy, they say bussy. If Tariq say it's okay to be gay, they'll start saying it's okay to be gay, and they'll justify it. I guarantee you, because they're a part of a cult. Anything he says, they say. So if he's perpetuating negativity, he has a whole army of unintelligent black people perpetuating negativity, which in turn cause and effect creates continental Africans and Caribbeans to have to clap back, and then you create another army of negativity, right? So that's the problem. So when in the word in a battle of words, because we're talking about this battle is in the mind. This battle is in the head, and we're fighting this war in the head via the internet. And every time you create a piece of content on the internet that perceivably looks disrespectful to another group of African Americans or Africans or Caribbeans, you're doing the white man's job. So, and specifically you, Oshay, you're playing with a fine line because you started out, and I didn't know you when you was with the manosphere thing, but that was obviously controversial. Y'all obviously got issues with certain black women that talk shit. You got your Kendra G's, right, and you got your Kevin Samuels, right, and so you got those two polar opposites, right. And then but a Kendra G will make a Kevin Samuel, and a Kevin Samuel will make a Kendra G. If we didn't have Kendra G's, we wouldn't need a Kevin Samuel, right? And you get what I'm saying. So we're creating it, right? So you came from the manosphere where your reputation has preceded you that you hate black women in America, right? So let's just go with this. Now you've deleted a lot of that content. You've grown, like people grow, right? We definitely are not who we was 5 years ago. But at the same time, when you create celebrity junk, which is clearly like TMZ, why? And I always agree, why can't we do our own shit? White people make money off our debauchery. Why can't we do? So there's a lane for celebrity junk where you talk trash about celebrities and stuff like that. That's fun. That's mindless entertainment. Yeah, but at the same time, that is still negative propaganda towards black people. It is what it is. It makes money. People like to watch it. I watch the shit, but it's like food with a lot of cholesterol in it. Eat a little bit, eat too much, you'll clog your arteries, right? And then you got your Pan-African dating show and your King Ghana, right? As much work as you put into King Ghana and Pan-African, your reputation is still preceding you. Therefore, you're going to have to work harder with this Pan-Africanism in order to make up for what you got going over here, because celebrity junk and your Pan-Africanism, those are two opposing different things, right? But you got to make your money. I ain't mad at that part. But in order for you to compensate for that, you got to put a little more effort in your Pan-Africanism and clearly define what you're talking about. You can't be calling these like Flacco Pan-African. Come on, you can't be calling him Pan-African. No, you shouldn't say the word. When it comes to Flacco, don't even say Pan-African. Just stop saying Pan-African when it comes to these people, because the people who don't know what Pan-Africanism is, they're thinking that's Pan-Africanism. So now you got a bunch of people going against Pan-Africanism. How is it possible that black people cannot like Pan-Africanism? Most black people are Pan-Africans, and I think Jarvin, he came up with a good term. He said small hat and big hat Pan-African. Most black people are pro-black Pan-African. If you pro-black, you all intents and purposes, most black people are Pan-African. They will go to a Caribbean restaurant, eat food. They will get some jerk chicken. They will, hang out and let their friends play with other black people. They will do that, like little small, just everyday stuff Pan-Africans. Then you got people like me and you who are active Pan-Africans in the real world doing real shit. Big hat Pan-Africans. But the thing is, Pan-Africanism has not been able to be articulated to its full totality because we have you making content, confusing people, making people think that Flacco is a Pan-African. Flacco is a parasite. Flacco is, for all intents and purposes, when you say the word, I think he dropped out. I think he must have lost signal. For all intents and purposes, Flacco is an opportunist, right? And he's not a Pan-African, but he don't hate African Americans. He doesn't hate Caribbeans, right? But he will take advantage of an African. He'll take advantage of a Caribbean, right? Oh, he's back on. Yeah, he'll take advantage, right? But he's no way in any shape, form Pan-African, because if he was, he would actually mean the shit he say. We know he don't care about them black people dying, but he make that money. We know he don't care about Shud the Builder, but he about making that money. We know he doesn't care. We know Flacco don't care, but we also know Tariq don't care. Both these niggas are dividers, and both of them, to me, are on the same side, right? Dividers, people who will divide for money, divide for profit, right? They pick division over unity. I'd rather be broke and you unified with my black brothers and sisters than be rich and not be unified.
Let me just say this real quick. You still there?
Yeah.
I would like to ask the chat, Guys, I see people saying things about me and him. If we're not doing that, can y'all stop with all the name calling against him or me? We're two brothers explaining. You don't even see us doing that. So if we're going to be able to talk like this in the future, family, y'all gotta grow up. Stop talking bad about him or me. We're having a respectful conversation, and the chat should also do the same thing, right? Because if y'all want more people, more dialogues like this to happen, and like I said, people come into hostile environments, we all family, right? This is what we got to do. So, I'm here, he's here, and so this is what I wanted. This is what I want to kind of bring the community together. So would y'all please stop with the name calling and all of this other stuff, people calling gay and all that stuff. Look, be professional. All right, I'm gonna let the brother build, but let's stop with all the foolishness in the chat. All right, if we can, please.
All
All right, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
right, that's cool. And and so with begging off what you said, this is the reason why we have a problem with FBA, right?
Mhm.
And the thing is, you don't have to be FBA, right? And the reason when I say FBA, I'm not talking about African Americans. I am a proud African American whose entire family has fought for America every single war, and I fought war. I have the right to say anything I want about America. And I'm also a tax-paying member of Nigeria too, so I can talk shit about them motherfuckers too. All right. So, but the thing is, if we can't have adult conversations, right? You can have spiritual conversations, right? And we can take leeway with our slang and our shit talking, right? Y'all know I talk shit, but I add a little comedy to it. I try to keep it light. I don't want to go dark. I never go dark, right? But the reason why I go dark with FBA is I'm not going dark with African Americans per se. I'm going dark with Tariq Nasheed and his manipulation. I'm going dark with the core of what FBA is. FBA is legitimately a xenophobic hate group sponsored by white supremacy. I know people don't want to believe it. They think I'm just saying it. They think it's something I'm making up. But it's actually a branch off the ADOS, which is a branch off the Tantum organization. An actual bunch of rich white people who wanted to get black people to hate immigrants to help white people hate immigrants because there's not enough white people for white supremacy. If you notice, white supremacy has been contracting all their shit out to black people. The most successful white supremacist is Candace Owens. Think about it. They can't even be white supremacists by themselves. They need a gay Mexican, Nick Fuentes, to be a white supremacist for them. All right? Like, that's how bad it is. So they need to recruit. White people are good at recruiting. So it's not FBA who I hate. It's the ideology behind what it means. Right? The name is tainted. It cannot be saved because of the people who are participating. And you got to understand, FBA has been infiltrated there's a lot of white people pretending to be FBA. A lot. White people use FBA as their medium to hate other black people. There's a lot of confused mixed mulattoes who are not who don't believe that they can participate in the African experience, but they still hold on to black because they got a little bit of that. So I'm black, but I'm not African because
Okay.
their blackness has been questioned their entire life, and they can't kumbaya. They see black African Americans and Africans kumbaya, and they don't feel like they can be a part of that. So they try to have their own lane. Mixed people have always
Okay.
had issues.
Okay. Let me, because you have, it's a lot that I'm trying to. It's a lot to respond to. I don't know if you still there, but are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Because
Yeah, I'm still
okay.
here. It's
All right.
raining
Can
out
you
here.
can you guys hear me good? Because my internet is kind of messing up. Because it's you said a lot, and I was trying to understand the points of view and all this other stuff. But let's do this. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So let's, for the sake of debate, we can remove African Americans or Black Americans out of this for immigration. All right.
Mhm.
We can look at largely what's happening on the African continent now. Pan-Africanism, the AU is in Ethiopia. So the first thing is, can we say Africa is producing citizens that can even contribute to Pan-Africanism, which a part of that is being collaborative? Let me give you an example of what I'm saying, because you probably see people like this in Nigeria all the time. You meet any individual young person, woman, young man, they get a job. Largely, they can't get into the industries. It's usually informal sector. And this
Yeah,
person is paid $100, $200 a month. All right.
yeah.
Now, after they're paid $200 a month, their bills is like $600 a month. So now that person has to do a lot of stuff as far, and also required to give money back home, whether Black Americans learn or not. A lot of Africans, men or women, are required to give money back at home because their parents still having kids in the village or wherever, back in their own home country. So this causes Africans to do this or that, steal from their job, start different businesses. Then, if they can't do that, well, then what do? In Uganda, they go to the Dubai, Qatar. Some people get involved in in West Africa, the Libya slave trade, sex trade, going towards Italy and all that. That's unfortunate. So, or if they come to the diaspora, those Africans have been already robbed from their home countries. So I actually believe when we are even asking Africans to participate in Pan-Africanism without fixing those problems, we're asking some people to sacrifice that's already been sacrificing. Because by the time they come and want to deal with us, because we grew up in different circumstances, it's hard for them to collaborate with us because of what they have been through, right? And this is something that we got to talk about. I see it all the time here on the continent of Africa. You know, I was at the cleaners today, and there was a young lady. She was like, "Can you loan me like $10 or whatever?" You know, I'm right now in Nairobi, Kenya. And so it causes an African to cover too much territory every day to get money to survive. Now, if you remove African Americans from the situation, the same thing is happening right now in South Africa. You got the people coming in from Malawi, Mozambique, Angola, all of these other particular folks trying to come in and make a living, and South Africans fought for their country. And so now these people, when they come there, they're not really necessarily concerned about South Africans. They're concerned about themselves. And again, it's self-preservation. But most Africans are Caribbeans when they come to America. Not all of them, because some of them are elite. Some of them do have money. Not every African is poor, right? Some people quit their good jobs and leave Nigeria. And I met a guy that was studying for his PhD in mechanical engineering when I was at Howard University, and he came from a very good family. But that's not most Africans. So then when Black Americans come across a lot of Africans are Caribbeans with a survivalism mentality, Black Americans don't take that as, well, damn, man, like, what's up with all of that? Because the person with the survivalism mentality doesn't know how to give. You don't know how to collaborate because in your country, you've been kept already. And these are the things that I bring out on my channel. You know, I can understand what you're saying, Tariq and the division, but this is what Black Americans have been experiencing for many years. And it's not just us. Look at the Bahamas. The Bahamas don't want Haitians. Okay, look at the Dominican Republic. Look at other countries. You know, a lot of these people are, the same thing with Africans in the UK in the 80s and 90s. It was the same problems that Black Americans had then. It was even bigger with the Caribbeans. They were calling the Caribbeans stupid and dumb when Africans got to Canada. So if you remove African Americans or Black Americans from this equation, then it's not just us anymore. And what you see all around the world where Africans kind of go because the survivalism mentality doesn't really work, they run into some of these issues, if not a lot of issues. I was in Poland when the Zimbabweans came to Poland. And that's how I found out about the Indebellis and Shonas. They were fighting to the death in Poland. I mean, a lot of these divisions that happen in Africa, we can meet them and it's cool. But how would you tell this Afro think tank? You want to tell the truth? We're going to both be honest here. Nigerians would rather help you or me than they will help each other. And you cannot say that ain't the truth because it is. Most of it will help you. They will help me on this fucking continent before they help each other. Now, we benefit from that. But if we didn't love Africans, we wouldn't admit it. And that's sad, though. And that's the thing that when people say you hate Africans, I'm standing up for a lot of Africans. What about the Africans in the diaspora that live in Dubai, that live in Qatar, that they send money to their family and that family, that money is stolen and they have no opportunity? What about that? What about when some of the diasporas, they come back and they oppress their own people? You want to know some of the rudest people who oppress Africans? Africans' own diaspora does it every day. From Britain, from Canada. If they're not oppressing, they're the ones getting used by the Africans on the continent. So what I'm saying is, if you can remove Black Americans and let's say we all unite in America, those Africans still have those problems because the country's made it that way. Pan-Africanism, and I know you watch football. If you watch football in the 80s and 90s, we had somebody called Bill Walsh. Right? Bill Walsh innovated what we call the West Coast offense. Right there in Cincinnati, and then he came to the Niners. All right. When Bill Walsh made the West Coast offense, you had to have certain players that could participate in that. And the first thing you needed, one of the main important things you needed was a running back, they catch the ball at the backfield. That's number one. So we couldn't have a hitting running back like, let's say, Peterson. You can have Eric Dickerson. Dynamic running back, no West Coast offense. Somebody like Roger Craig, somebody like Ricky Waters, somebody who can catch the ball, right? Now, quarterbacks, Joe Montana, we saw Jeff Garcia, and then you needed somebody not with a big arm, but with the accurate arm. Then for a receiver, you didn't necessarily need a speedy guy like Rakib Ismail or Willie Gall. You needed somebody who was good running after the catch, right? So you had, for the West Coast system to work, you need certain inputs, right? And in order to make Africanism work, you need certain inputs. And what we see on the continent every day, brother, is these African countries don't make the inputs to make it work. And the raw talent that we have in Africa never gets used. Unfortunately, it goes right to its grave every day. And so when we talk about building a collaborative Africa, well, the issue comes from home states, because by the time they get to the Africa, it's difficult for them to collaborate. Because even Agaba, you know what Agaba did to me? That's a lot of things you come across, not saying everybody, but when you're focused on your family, what's going on back home, like Africa's diaspora is awesome. They send the most remittances back to the continent. They're developing the continent, but large that money is going to to their family. And so by the time we start working with Africans, there's largely going to be an issue because of what they have already been through. There's a certain level of trauma that brothers and sisters in Africa have been through. And when we try to sweep it underneath the rug and say we all should stick together against one oppressor, well then, okay, let's leave us out of the equation. What do you say what's happening right now in Nigeria by itself, or the North, or what happened in the Biafra War? That had to do with Black Americans. What do you say about the South Africans? Or what do you say about the Zimbabweans? You see all of these things without us, right? And wherever you go, there you are. Now, I'm going to tell you another thing here. It's going to be controversial, but I'm going to say this. When you deal with why the African states want the me and you back, I'll tell you why. Because we don't deal with tribalism. So when Afrothinktank comes to Nigeria, he accepts everybody. Everybody loves him, right? Because he's going to look for the merit-based person. So the reason why Africa is where it's at is because so many internal divisions. And those divisions come to wherever Africans go. Ireland, have you seen what's happening right now? I mean, don't get me wrong, the white men have destabilized them, but Africa's got a choice. And too often we baby a lot of the folks from Africa, because I can tell you one thing. When Africa get ready to do something, they can do it. Talk about the most talent, talk about the most beautiful shit I've never seen. Africa got the Randy Moss disease. They play it when they get ready. I see it all the time. When Africa want to do something that's fucking out of this world, they'll do it. When they get ready, most Africans do this. I was there with Warden Maya. I brought Warden Maya to Uganda in 2023. I brought him there. Him, Miss Trudy, and staff. We have been trying to work with the government. I've had ministers tell me, oh, I like what you're talking about, but what I need you to do is focus on what I'm doing, and then you come back later. I won't even mention their name. I've worked with so many people for free, trying to bring people to the continent, get the right information out. What? Apathetic, don't care. Now, when Warden Maya touched down, I had got him a room over at Bukoto Heights. The then president of the tourism board, when he touched down, she was right there. I lost my money. They took him over to Speaker Resort. They asked him right there, said, hey, listen, why don't you be the ambassador of Uganda? Again, when they want to do something, they can do it, And so what I'm saying is, I get what you're saying, because you spit facts. There are a lot of things you're saying that I got to concede. And I knew that coming into it, because my situation is not always perfect. But you got to create the right Africans to participate in Pan-Africanism. And what you're saying is, well, that Afro think tank or oshay, you should be held to a higher standard. Okay, I'll accept that. But then what about them? Just because we have more money, our South Africa has more resources, that doesn't mean that the brothers and sisters in Malawi can't put forth effort. They got to also try. And a lot of times the people that have the most get the most to blame, like South Africa and Black America. But even when Africans get rich, they get successful. I mean, what about the issues then? So again, the divisions keep going. And the divisions that are there, we got to discuss it, what our fault or somebody else's fault. Because what happens is, let's focus on the white man, focus on our power, sweep everything underneath the rug, and guess what? I could agree to never make a video again. and NBA could never make a video again. Those situations in Africa are going to continue. And wherever they go, there they're going to be. They're having problems in Australia in the diaspora. Big problems. But why is it that when Black Americans come, largely don't have a problem? Because why? We're more adaptable, usually. You go to Ghana and you see more African Americans wearing kente cloth than you see Ghanaians. You can see that.
Yeah, but with that being said, everything you saying, I agree with. But at the same time, let me just say one last thing.
Okay, go ahead. And the thing is this, like the African countries, most of the, I know you didn't like my Pan-African keyboard warrior things. I know you didn't like that, right? But let me talk about that. The reason why a lot of those people are upset with me is because they cannot deny what I'm saying is the fact. They can never come back to where they're from and have a good life. Why? Because do you know how many talented Africans come back to their homeland and get killed or get poisoned or get juju put on them?
Yeah, a lot. That's actually a big thing.
See, why don't people bring that up in my content? I don't just talk about things from the Black American perspective. I see Africans come back from Sweden, and then, you know, this guy, he got his legs cut off, got killed, his wife got killed right there in Entebbe. So when you want your talented Africans to come back, the Africans that have money don't even trust their own governments to come back. That's why they're marketing this to us. Because largely we're not going to have those issues. They don't care if we come in and really be successful. So that's what I'm really building it on. I talk as an insider. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So like with all that being said, right? With what you said was correct, right? So we have to find a solution to that issue, right? So we African Americans, it's true, everything you said. Like when I go to Nigeria and I look at Nigeria and I see how Nigeria is and what they have, right? And I say, damn, if y'all really wanted to, y'all could take over. It don't seem like anybody really wants to because the Yoruba will not allow the Igbos to be in charge. And the whole reason why, but the Igbos happen to be the best business people in Nigeria. If you put an Igbo president in who already has an economic mind of making money, that person would probably do a pretty good job bringing the economy of Nigeria up to snuff. But because of the tribal issues, the Yoruba and the Hausa, the tribalism, refuses to allow an Igbo to become the president. Then you got the Muslims in the north that's more Muslim than they are African. And they're like, everybody got to be Muslim, and it's Christians against Muslims. And it's only during political season because they actually get along in real life together. They all live together, right? And so I see the business opportunities and the political opportunities that Nigeria has, but the people themselves step in their way. And like the politicians step in their way. And the people themselves, right, they get in their own way by stopping their progress because they don't want to work with their brothers and sisters. That is in fact. The tribalism manifests itself in the fact that people don't work together to create institutions and chains and accountability measures in order to succeed, right? And I think that is where, because you're right, African American, when I go to Nigeria, I'm good with the Igbos, Yorubas, the Hausas, the Fulanis, they're cool with me. But they be like, them damn Igbos over there, or them goddamn Europe, they'll warn me about the other tribes. But I'll just kind of look like, are you serious? And then I'll have to do my own investigation because maybe they're being extra, or maybe they've been, they got a little bit of historical bias in there. There is a lot of historical bias in there, but
just one thing. Do you know how many Nigerians? I know how many Nigerians told me not to come to Nigeria? A lot.
Oh, a lot of them. Yeah, Nigerians told me not to go too. They were like, "You going to Nigeria?" I'm like, damn right. But I'm a different because I've been places in Nigeria. Nigeria is okay compared to some places I've been to.
I love Nigeria. It was great.
Yeah. And the most trash talking I've ever heard from about Nigeria has been from Nigerians, and the reason is what you stated is most of the well-to-do, because all the rich ones are here where I'm at, right? Because I went to school with them. Like they had cars in house. They was driving Mercedes-Benz in high school, right? Oh yeah. They will tell you that the government is attacking them, or it's usually a government issue, because especially since they got money and you want to hold it in their banks, and it becomes an issue with the government, right? And they have they'll complain. But then you go to Nigeria, the Nigerian people in Nigeria are way different than the diaspora that come over here, and they will tell you that they're complete and total assholes. I know Nigerians who live here who got businesses in Africa who treat their people like shit, like slaves, like actual slaves. And it blows my mind. They barely pay them. They feeding him is enough. They're like, yeah, I gave you food.
Look,
you got to
pay you late. Pay you
right?
late.
So there is an issue there is an issue that continent, continental Africans don't want to talk about, is the
Right.
fact that there's a classism and an ageism problem, that caste system that suppresses young Africans and disregards any of their opinions about anything when it comes to government and benefit. It's ran by a bunch of old, rich, ignorant, non-educated Africans who don't want none of their kids, their grandkids, or their great grandkids to thrive. And they're blocking the progress of all of them. I think they said that it's closed. They closed it down. Yeah. So they don't want none of them to thrive, and that's a problem. And I see it, right? And like for instance, like me as an African American, right? Me as an African American, when I go to Nigeria and I see the business opportunity just in the farmland, right? All these Nigerians in the rural area, all of them are sitting on millions of dollars of assets, and they don't know what to do with it. They got millions, like a poor person in Nigeria in a village is richer than a middle class person in Africa. They just don't know how to benefit from their assets, right? And I'm sitting here, I be having conversations like, you know what you got here, right? They got land with fruit trees and all the minerals and stuff right there, and they own it. Just a poor person who don't got who can't generate $100 has 100 acres of land that they own outright, paying zero taxes on, that they can do anything with. And that's a common thing. But because there's no system to take advantage of the resources in order to guide these people into benefiting themselves, agriculture is not the number one thing in Nigeria when it should be, right? And so I think that as African Americans who are good at systems, especially since we run the federal government, like we are the reason why American federal government was working so good until Donald Trump messed it up, right? I believe that if we believe African Americans that we are the leaders that we say we are, right? Instead of those of us who know better should use our talent to go over there and create systems. Like we should have asset management companies. We should be going to Africa and having customer service academies, like because the customer service is non-existent right over there for the most part, right? Because everybody your cousin. When you sit down, everybody who feeding you is your auntie and your cousin, and you just gonna wait till when the food done or when they get around to you. And that is something that permeates throughout the Caribbean and regular Black America. You go down to the South, you're gonna wait. You go to that restaurant, you're gonna wait because you family and them. You sit in the chair, you wait, and your food gonna get there when it get there. And we kind of do that as a group, but that doesn't translate into business. And I know that's what you're talking about. They don't have there's mechanisms of accountability and management that Africans are missing, and because of that, the informal business economy is thriving to the point where it's taking advantage of people who cannot leverage any money that they earn to get ahead in life, right? But I believe we can assist them and those African diasporas who are also intelligent and want to go do that. We can assist them, but we got to create systems within these African countries, and we have to installate ourselves. So we can't be, because a lot of us are naive. We go there, we want to kumbaya, we want to be up in there and all that stuff, and then we find out that the people we working with in Africa don't got the same mindset as us, and we can't get shit done, and we waste money, right? And then there's horror stories. I just put a video up where the diaspora, they send money back trying to do this, and their family members steal the money, their family members, and then what the family members do, this is the trick. Mm-hmm. So if, let's say, a Nigerian goes to the UK or America, and he makes he's an engineer, he's making a ton of money. He may not go back to Africa for 10 years, but he's been sending thousands of dollars every month. And he's been hoping that his family was doing what he said he'd do with the money. And then they show up in 10 years, go on vacation for only 2 weeks because your America give you 2 weeks, right? That's all you get. The family member knows that when that family member flies to their country, that they can only stay for 2 weeks because they got to go back to work. So whoever stole the money disappears. They will leave the village. They'll leave the country, because that means if you're African second generation Nigerian, and you go and your cousin or your sister or your brother been spending thousands of your dollars showing off, having a good time, buying his friends drinks, just doing whatever, and he found out you coming, he gonna go to another state. The entire time you're there, you'll never find him. You'll never be able to hold him accountable. And then when your ass got to go back to work, then he'll go back home because there's nothing you can do. What you gonna yell him over the phone, right? And that is a problem. And I just made a video about that. And so you got the African diaspora, second generation and first generation themselves, have a total campaign trying to tell their diaspora not to send remittance back to Africa and force their family members to have to be more financially responsible. But who is going to teach? Who's going to teach these Africans to be financially responsible? Because ain't nobody teach us African Americans to be financially responsible. We ain't no Western Ain't no Western curriculum teaching us how to use money. That's why we in debt. So I can always find an American equivalent to the shit that's happening over there with the division. We got the shit happening over here. Why is it that we have so many successful African Americans? As soon as they get some money, they move to the white neighborhood. They go get them a white wife, and they forget all about the hood. That they say they love, but then they jump back in the hood to go make a music video. Right? They come back to the hood
Or
to,
Jamie
to, to make
Foxx.
a speech in front of a crowd, but then they go right back to this suburban neighborhood. Right? They
Right.
don't invest in it. Look at Jay-Z. Now Jay-Z, he must have made a deal with Target. Now he wants us to go back. Right? And we supposed to
Yeah,
listen to
now,
him because he's a rapper? Because he
yeah,
made money off talking shit and belittling the black community so the white people can pay him? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then we make our leaders these rappers. We make our leaders these people who don't have the credentials to be leaders. And that's why Tariq Nasheed falls in this category as somebody who is not qualified to rename or reclassify all African Americans. That nigga is a failed rapper. Okay? And then
yeah.
when he couldn't do that, he pretended to be a failed pimp. And when he couldn't do that, he pretended to be a Pan African. And when that shit didn't make no money, he just started to be a xenophobic, hateful FBA. Now, what's going to happen when FBA runs its course?
Well,
Tariq
let
already
me say
got
this,
one foot out the door already.
because you said that one thing you said that one of the reasons why I took the position that I took was because I was I'm trying to make money, and I wanted to address that while I was here. I largely make the majority of my money on my Oshay Duke Jackson, the celebrity stuff, things like that. Largely, I'm going to tell you the honest truth. A lot of the things I see, and I speak to certain things that most commentators don't, because I don't want people. I've seen people come here and go broke in Uganda and can't go back. I got to help them go back. That's why I never brought people here. And what you described about what you at least brought them through a tour, and what you described, this happens to our people every day. Not only our people. I mean, remember that one fat dude by the name of Greg from Value Farm, that fat bald head dude?
Greg from Value Farm?
He
I got you. I don't remember.
those of you guys probably know. A brother from Netherlands, a Caribbean brother from Netherlands, sent $180,000 to invest into a farm. That was stupid. He stole the money with South Africa. You know, that was somebody from he was Haitian though. So what I'm saying is, a lot of Black Americans, when they come to Africa, okay, does Africa have an opportunity? Absolutely. Can you scale in Africa? There's nothing like Africa. I can tell you that right now. If you get it right, you got it right forever. You got it right forever. But a lot of the people, it's so romanticized. Like, you have a practical approach, Tan. You know, we're not gonna kumbaya, but that's not what Ghana is selling. That's not what Sierra Leone is selling. What they sell is, okay, here's a package for you. Because at first they were trying to just bring white folks to Africa. Then they found the year of return. Now everybody's, trying to follow year of return. And the ecosystem is not so developmental. And so a lot of Black Americans, when they come to Africa, they don't know that. But before you can do business in Africa, you might have to stay here for 1 or 2 years just to see how to move around. Just to, it's hard getting around in Uganda. Maybe Nairobi is a little bit better if you go to Johannesburg, but it's still very difficult. And so then you don't know if a person has a bachelor's degree from, let's say, Jomo Kenyatta University. That's not the same thing as a bachelor's degree from Rutgers. That doesn't mean the person isn't smart, but the person has a different worldview. And a lot of Black Americans are not really ready for those nuances. And so when you see all the nuances that you have to deal with every day, it causes a lot of Black Americans to, or anybody else, to try to fix those nuances before you can scale. And by that time, you might be out of money. So the issue that I have is what people that are critical of me, they're saying, you talk too negative about Africa. Okay, well, what about you who's living in Paris right now? Or you who's living in Beverly Hills at the bus stop right now, taking pictures? Because you left for the same reasons that I'm talking about. And it's not only Black Americans that are affected by this. Our whole entire diaspora. Again, the people that suffer the most are the Ugandan Americans, the Ugandan British. The people in Uganda working in Dubai. They suffer more than anybody because they have the most invested. So now what I'm saying is, when you come to Africa and you want to start the business, like, do you know Brother Subi Shop, TJ? Do you know him?
Who?
The Subi from the guy on my podcast.
Yeah.
We know somebody that recently got married. Okay, so we went to go and participate in their wedding, and right there, it was another foreigner in our diaspora group. We went out the room. The lady says, well, if you want us to expedite this, It's gonna be another $20. And he was like, "What?" Yeah, and everybody in the room was watching. So
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like that kind of stuff. You have to participate in it. And so what I'm saying is, Black Americans don't know those nuances because in order for you to unify with Africa or Caribbeans, it's a lot more effort on our end.
Yeah,
like the government's getting better, right? The government's getting better, but it's so much effort on our end. It's almost like, well, damn, if I did this in my own community in St. Louis or DMV, which the DMV is more money in the DMV than it is in the whole southern region of Africa, in the DMV by itself. Yeah. So what do? Do you go with what you understand or do you go with what you don't understand? And now people are coming to that crux where it's like, well, damn, I mean, number one, I didn't know what we had because you don't really find out what Black America really got until you live overseas. When you look at Black America and the institution that it is, there's nothing like it. You don't know that until you know, because you grew up in it, so you don't really appreciate it. There is nothing like Black America. Zero. Nothing like it. So what Black America now, in order for me to be a part of Africa, it's kind of difficult because you got Africans telling you to go. In order for you to go to Africa, you might have to go to certain embassies, like the Nigerian embassy in DC. You might have to get involved in the community first, then kind of find out how to get around, how to do things. People don't really share information in Africa like that in most African countries. So it can be done, but like I said, at what cost, right? And if that cost is to deal with, people are not going to do it.
Right. I believe now when it comes to that, like the corrupt, like it is terrible. Like for instance, when you go to Nigeria, you're supposed, if you stay longer than 30 days, you got to get a stamp, right? Now the stamp is free. Every single time I go to Customs and Border Patrol, they want money. All right, they want a bribe. Everything is a bribe. Everything in Africa.
You talking about in Lagos?
No, not in Lagos. I do in the kitty state. I go to the comptroller.
Have you been to Lagos Airport, Murtala Muhammad?
Yeah. Oh, as soon as you get off the damn plane, they begging you for money.
Hold on. They have a big ass sign right there. Do not support corruption. That nigga look at you and look at that sign, and you'll have a little $1 bill. Give me some money.
Right. Now, this is what I do. So now when I go to the airport, right? As soon as I get off the airport, if anybody now, I have to be honest, they have been getting better at it. They're trying to stomp it out, but you know it's hard to do that because you can't monitor everybody at the same time. So they got the signs everywhere, and if they ask me for money, I just tell them I ain't got it. Or sometimes I stand there and lecture them and embarrass them for everybody. I said you should not ask for money. I said I tell them you're embarrassing Nigeria and you're embarrassing yourself. I said there's people outside that don't have jobs. You have a good government job. I said, and you're asking me for money. Like I'll make it a big deal about it.
Hold on, I want to give Nigerians credit.
Oh, man,
to the airport that call out other people. I've seen a fight in the airport. So you got some Nigerians that work at the airport.
Yo, Nigerians will flip. Exactly. The Nigerians that fly to Nigeria, they go off. They're not having it because they're like, you're not going to take. I just got off the plane. You looking to get US dollars. What are you talking like? And so the culture has to be that they think they don't see scamming the way we see scamming. They view scamming as hustling, right? It's like they're hustling, right? And there's an aspect of African culture where you give when you go, right? And they're attaching that part of that has become begging. So there's an aspect of when you go to somebody's village or you go to somebody's house, you bring them a gift of appreciation. And usually it could be anything, an apple, it could be a bag of rice, it could be anything. And it's like an exchange that goes back and forth, but that has turned into money, right? Or when they see somebody who they think got money, or when you're in the car and you going somewhere and the police pull over the driver and they're like forcing the drivers to give them money, right? And then you'll see like one of the passengers give the driver money to give the police, to give the damn police money because the driver don't got no money because he already got his money taken away from the person that owned the truck, right? But me, when they try to ask me for money, oh man, listen, when a police, I'll be loving it. I'll be like, I want them to pick me. I want them to think I'm a Yahoo boy and pull me out of the van. Because I stand right there. I won't say a word and I let them run their mouth because they think I'm a Hausa. When I'm up there, because I got a beard, they either think I'm a Yoruba or they think I'm Hausa and when I'm in Yoruba land. And they figure I got money because I'm dressed like an American city. You got money, I'm going to try to scam you. And I will stand there with the police all day. I'm like, I ain't giving you nothing. We're going to stand here all day. I don't care if you got that AK-40s. We're going to stand here all day. Right?
I believe you.
And now Nigeria, and then usually when I do that, they get real nice. Right. And now, to be honest, they don't do it as much. When I first started going, they were doing it. But now the government the government of a kitty state, Nigeria, is a good one. He's cutting down he ain't playing that shit with his police officers. So they starting to get busted for that shit. So now they ain't saying nothing. The Nigerian military does a great job. They don't, I don't see them doing that. They do their job on the road. But there is aspects of, because of the way everybody wants to be bribed in order to do a job that they're supposed to do anyway, it makes it hard for African Americans who want to come in there with our money and do business, because we're like, look, we need set systems so that we can do this, because how can we set something solid if it's not on a foundation of something solid? I can't have somebody coming to me talking about this is mine, or you gotta rub my pockets to do this, you gotta rub my pockets to do that. Now I've managed to negate that because I'm so integrated into the system, and I use proxies to do all my shit. I pay local. I don't pay no foreign price. I always pay local, right? But yeah, but it's very difficult for African Americans to go there and use our money to build when the people there are still in survival mode. Now, we can complain about it, which we should, because I think that the governments need to be embarrassed that they do this, because they're not just doing it to us, they're doing it to their people. We African Americans are just finding out that this is happening, and since we're not going to be quiet about it, we are talking about it. So when you talk about like Ghana, for instance, and if you tell the truth about Ghana, Nana is going to get upset because you're talking about his Ghana, right? But he won't go on his show and he won't tell you about the corruption in Ghana. He won't tell you about the messed up roads in Ghana. He won't tell you about the corrupt police officers in Ghana. He won't tell you about the corrupt teachers that want to get sex from their students and won't give them a good grade until they give them an A. He won't tell them that.
I saw that. That was crazy.
Yes,
he was in there.
They don't want to tell them how they're holding up these people in these schools because they don't want to pay the teachers, and the teachers go on strike for 8 months. So now you got some kid that's supposed to be in university. He's supposed to be learning, and now he out of school. They don't. Right, and the doctors, they don't tell you about this. There's been 2 times in Nigeria where I saved somebody's life because they got in a total car accident and leg broke. They had to pull them off the side of the road, and they go to the doctors, and guess what? They're not gonna treat you if you ain't got that money. You're gonna sit right there.
And died like that. Remember him? He passed away like that. Die, right? All I had $150 saved his life. I get every goddamn couple days, I'm getting a thank you, and when I go there, I'm treated like, just because I did that. Just because it's ridiculous that you could be in a life and death situation, but then you go to the doctors and they're like, I can't. And it's not like they don't want to. They literally can't, because they don't. They literally can't treat you because they don't even have the shit they need to treat you, because they got to go take that money you give them to go buy it to bring it back to treat you, right? Which is different from in America, is where you can get treated. You just die afterwards when the bill comes, right? But I'd rather deal with that. I'd rather deal with the bill later, right? Than die because these doctors can't treat me. And then the doctors don't want to stay because the government don't want to pay the doctors a good wage and give them a good hospital, because they're all flying to Washington, D.C. to go to goddamn Johns Hopkins and Holy Cross. You know what I'm saying? So you're absolutely correct. And the thing is, nobody was going to say anything, because the continental Africans that fly to America, they don't say anything because they come here, they get a good job, they get health insurance, they get cozy and comfortable buying these paperclip houses, and they have no plans going back. And they think they're doing something when they send money back to remittance. They ain't doing shit. And they complain about their countries, but they get mad when we talk about the shit that they ran from. Right. And it's not like I'm saying, it's not like we dumping on the country. We're dumping on the systems that's holding back the country and the people, not the people, because the people are complaining about it too. But there's nobody putting a camera in front of somebody from Nigeria and Ghana and saying, hey, tell me what you think about your government. You know, right. And the thing is, and if they do that, there was a woman in Ghana just now. She got sentenced to a year for saying something about the president of Ghana. A year in jail for opening her mouth. Right now, if an African American went to Ghana and said the same thing in Ghana, nothing's gonna happen, and then the information would get out. But because she was a citizen of Ghana, she's in jail because she said something out of her mouth. She said the president of Ghana got the presidency by sacrificing some goats and a few other animals, and she in jail for a whole year for some dumb shit. Like that, right? Tanzania is even worse. She don't play at all.
Oh yeah, I heard about her. So you're right. There are things, and all these people who are in charge of these African countries are puppets of white supremacy, right? Now, these guys, to be honest, these old fuckers just got to die, right? Because no one has the power to push them out the way, right? And no one's speaking up about it because there's a culture of compliance and keeping your mouth shut. Asians are the same way. They keep their mouth shut. That's why
very passive aggressive.
Right. That's why when they come to America and they see white supremacy, they keep their mouth shut, and they expect Black African Americans to run our mouths on behalf of them. They expect us to do all the work, and then they come in and be like, "Yeah, Black Lives Matter," but we just did all the work. How come Black lives don't matter in Africa? Black
Well,
people.
I mean, that's kind of what I mean. Like you. So the thing about I like what you're saying is you see the points, but what you make some good points, and you kind of said the stuff that I was about to say. But the reality is that I think that when in this Pan-African struggle, that a lot of the ownership, it seems like the Black world just expects a lot more from Black Americans than everybody else. And all I'm here to say is, and I'm glad the chat is in here. And again, I wanted to come into I know your environment was hostile, so I knew that coming in, right? And this is what I wanted to do because number one, I respect you. You are, you a little irate sometimes, but you're a real brother in this community, and I respect you. I think you're tier one because it's not because of what you say, it's because I know what you do. And I'm here, and if I can shift my position because of what you're saying, that's why I'm listening. I'm not listening here to disagree with you or anything like that, because ultimately I want what everybody else wants. You can call me whatever you want. You a coon, you a sellout. Listen, guys, when the power be going out, I'm here. Your ass ain't here. Okay. When shit goes down, I'm here in the trenches with my young people that I work with every day. So if that means being a coon to you, I'll be a coon. But what I do want to say is, yes, there are a lot of things that I could be doing better. And I'm gonna admit to you, I got a little bit also frustrated with some of the stuff that I was trying to do in Uganda, and I was willing to do it for free. And then many people, within the Ugandan government, it was apathetic. And I lost some level of zeal because I used to do a lot of the farming stuff in Uganda all the time. That's my money that I'm putting up. When we risk going to farms, in northern Uganda or Rua, when we were doing sunflower seed oil, that's me paying for the entire trip. Are we going to support the farmers? We have to come back and edit that stuff. And we were going towards the Congolese border sometimes. And then, when you go back and you try to show somebody in the government, they just don't care. So that will be like, well, damn, why am I doing that here then? Like I could do that, somewhere else. I flew people in for the podcast. Remember that scammer Mark?
Yeah.
I know he was scammered in, but
that one, I thought he was a good one. So I thought Mark, man, that guy's diabolical. Mark is diabolical because he looks so innocent and he sounds so righteous.
Yeah, that nigga was crazy. But it's a lot of stuff that I do offline, and again, it's to change nobody's opinion. But anybody knows me. Like when people come to Africa, when something happens, people call me off of real life shit. So can I do a better job of certain things? Sure. And I'm gonna, I got a few more hit pieces to go out, and I'm probably gonna get back to, what I'm trying to do. But it's difficult. It's difficult to keep, like, Africa don't only just frustrate Africans or don't frustrate the diaspora. It's frustrating for anybody that's trying to deal with it because they got to sit here in Uganda, well, that's Uganda for you or something like that. Or in other words, shit ain't gonna change. So when people are actually trying to do stuff, you don't really get a lot of assistance. Now every country is different. Yeah. Now, like if you're dealing with Kenya, it's a lot different. Shout out to Kia. South Africa can be different. But like I said, it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of extra effort. And for some people that haven't even lived overseas, most people will be out in a year because to live in a different place is challenging enough. Versus even just, like I said, working with people every day. Living another place is challenging enough. So what I want to say is, I got a podcast. I got a content creation podcast. Okay. I want to for allowing me to come on to the platform. I know I called you out on the community tab. I know it's gonna be today, but I just want everybody to know, regardless of what you feel about me or don't feel about me, I love Black people. I love everybody, right? But I honestly think that if we don't have value in exchange, the problems are going to continue to happen. If people don't see, if we're not incentivized to work with each other, or if there's no value, those problems are going to keep persisting. Even if the FBA or whoever else, you're going to keep having these divisions. And the incentivization got to be better than the division. And right now, we all look the same to the white man. Oh, we ought to focus on the bigger enemy. That's not enough incentivization for many people. You know what I mean? It's just not. We can say that, and it's true, but and then I think also to ask a lot of Africans that have been through a lot of trauma, some are seeing wars. I've seen a lot of the Sudan refugees, not South Sudanese, Sudan. Like I've met people through TJ who they lost their whole family, or they lost their mom. They just saw their mom and dad get killed, and they're living in Uganda, and they just wake up in the middle of the night crying.
Yeah,
you know, like people don't talk about that kind of stuff, but I've seen that stuff in Uganda. You know, so people need real life solutions and real life fairness and parity. And Africa got the ability to do all of that, but if we're not going to do that, we're going to continue to have these problems.
That's
it's going to be there. And we can sweep it underneath the rug. We can say, all right, well, one love, only positive shit. Then all the shit going to keep happening under season. You're going to get people frustrated. So that's all I'm going to say. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for allowing me to come over here. Those that don't like me, thank you for at least not calling my mama out her name. I appreciate that. And again, you know, I know this is hostile, but we got to have more conversations like this. You know, we got to have more conversations like this. And this is what I want. And I'm gonna do a live and let y'all come up there, as long as you don't cuss me out. But I think this is good.
Okay,
you know, this is good.
Yeah, and I would second that. I think what me and you just displayed right now is Pan-Africanism, right? This is much, and this is we both have disagreements, but we were both able to get on here and have a conversation, right, about our differences without talking shit about each other, even though we have fundamental differences. But if you notice, we both want the same thing. Right? We both want the same thing.
We have taken personal shots too, by the way.
Right. Now we had a lot of people down here taking shots, but I mean, I don't care. I mean, that's what people do, right? We understand it. Right.
All these people here because they love the black community. That's why they here. Right.
Yeah.
So we understand that.
Yeah. So and so I think that African people, African Caribbeans, African Americans, we all got to admit we got problems. We all got our own individual problems within our group. All of us can do better. And there's always a solution to any problem that we got. And we can solve them. And we are trying to solve them. Now here, the first group of people going to Africa right now is, to be quite honest, it's really not meant for a lot of you African Americans to go to Africa. Right now, the people that need to be in Africa are the ones who are willing to deal with the shit in the mud. Right now, we are dealing with the shit in the mud. It's not paved. It's not. A lot of y'all need to go to places when it's paved and ready to go, and then you can implement the things that you can implement during that portion. But right now, only builders, only adventurers, like wild west type people are going out there because the place is not organized to where everybody can be facilitated. We have to create that environment, and you gotta give us some time because the white people, America took 250 years, 2 to 3 wars, millions of deaths. Right. And a lot of sabotage and slavery and genocide to get to this point. Right. African people are being asked to build nations and build a society without subjugating other people. Not many nations have ever done that. This is some new shit. African people we are rising as a people and as nations without subjugating other people. Meaning it's going to be harder. Now, that means we're subjugating ourselves, and we got to fix that shit. All right. And we got to be able to have conversations without talking too much shit. I mean, we can talk a little shit, but not to the point to where the conversation ends. Because after that, we just circle jerking and nobody's listening. We just trying to get shots out. We had this is a productive conversation where people can walk away from it and be like, okay, I understand his view. I understand his view. Fuck him anyway, but I understand his view. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? And we got to have more of these. I don't like wasting my time on a bunch of panels with a bunch of people just waiting to get their shit off because it's just a waste of time. Right? If we're not having conversations that go towards solutions, I'm not having it because time is precious. We can't get that shit back. So thank you. Thanks everybody for coming out. Thanks everybody for showing up. 707 people. I ain't never had that many people on the live. God damn.
Well, they wanted to see you. That's why I wanted to have it on yours because I know they wanted to see you roast me up. So
right.
Again, man, I like I said, I love what you do. Even when we beefing, I sometimes hit you on WhatsApp. Like, I actually pissed me off. I actually had blocked your ass for a few months that I had unblocked you. But but again, man, you know, like I said, you're passionate. I know that you love the community. That's why I even defend you when people say, I said, no, that brother's for real. He is, he crazy, but he love our people. And you know, I can't take that away from you, right? And I think that, you know, I think everybody here in the chat is the same way. They may not like me, but they love the community, and that's fine. You know, we just got different ways of doing that. And I hope that, you know, it inspires me to, you know, like I said, I talk to TJ about this every day. His position is more closer to yours. You know, but like I said, we will see. So thank you, brother, for your time. Thank everybody else for coming through. And again, this might happen again. Maybe
Yeah,
next
yeah.
time.
I like these. I can have these conversations. I like these conversations.
Yeah, it wasn't gonna be crazy because it first of all, that's stupid. Number one.
Yeah, right.
You know it's stupid because we both come into Africa, we both from the same community.
Mhm.
Then why would we be sitting here insulting each other when like people want to go to Nigeria, people want to come to Uganda? In fact, we try to give y'all the information so you don't get scammed like us.
Right.
So you don't lose money. You know,
right.
I've lost a lot of money, so you wouldn't have to. Okay.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
anyways, man, let me get ready to go to podcast. Thank you, brother, for having me on. Thank you for
All right,
the
you're
chat.
welcome.
And y'all
All right.
roasted them. All right. What's up?
All right, guys. Thank y'all for coming out. See y'all.
All right.
Peace.
Peace. How the hell do you end this shit?